Hello.
Hey, Professor Lucker.
Hey, Hayden. How are you?
Good. How about you? You in Florida?
Yeah, I just pulled in. Sorry I
Okay.
missed your first call. Get
Oh,
the dog inside. Get
no,
him settled.
you're good. You're good. So we're actually recording right now, and if you're okay with
Oh,
it,
okay.
we'll just jump right into it.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So this is Michael Lucker, screenwriter. He's worked with the likes of Steven Spielberg and other people in the past. I know him as Professor Lucker because he taught me in college. Uh, I'd like to give you a platform to kind of talk about yourself for a minute and explain screenwriting and how you kind of came to be with it, if you got a moment.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, first of
Absolutely.
all. How long do I have to tell
Yeah.
you my spiel? Because there's a lot of spiel.
Oh yeah, as long as you need, sir. Absolutely.
I'll give you the quick and dirty.
Okay.
I grew up in Georgia, writing songs for girls I had crushes on who wouldn't give me the time of day. And then from then I went off to then I started writing articles for the school paper in high school, and then somebody said you should write a play in high school, and I did that, and then people said you should go to college and you should study writing for film and TV, and I did that, and then I went out to LA and tried to become a writer, and quickly found I needed a day job, and so I sent out 100 resumes to everybody I wanted to work for, and yeah, I got a job working for Steven as his assistant.
Wow.
And then I left there and worked in creative affairs for Disney. And then I quit that job and went and became a full-time screenwriter and moved to the beach and wrote about 40 scripts for different studios like Disney and DreamWorks and Paramount and Universal and Fox, and had
Margaritas
a
and
little bit of
keyboards.
luck. And yes, one would like to think.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then I got sick of LA because I don't know if you heard, there's a lot of traffic out there,
I have.
and there's a lot of smog and earthquakes and drive-bys, and I frankly I miss the South. I miss nice people, and I missed seasons, and I missed leaves underfoot
I
in the
hope.
fall.
I
And
hope Atlanta's a little bit better than LA.
it is in 1,000 ways. There's probably a few ways LA's got a leg up on
Yeah.
Atlanta, but for the most part, I'm an Atlanta boy. I can't shake it. It keeps bringing me back.
Yeah, well, especially with the film community booming as it is now in Atlanta. So.
Yeah, it's been exciting to be a part of that, and certainly help on the creative side. Since I've been back, I've developed content for TBS and TNT. I've worked in unscripted television for HGTV, Cartoon Network, Discovery, and a host of others. And then I started sharing what I learned with people, and people thought I was good at the sharing part, and my students seemed to be learning, and it was incredibly fulfilling, and I stuck with it. And so, over the last several years, I've been hosting my own screenwriting workshops at Screenwriter School. I've been an adjunct professor at Emory University. I lecture in the creative writing program at Reinhardt University's MFA, and then of course, where I met you, Hayden, was at the University of North Georgia, where I'm now full-time faculty.
Yeah.
And,
your class was what gave me the bug. So.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Let's see if we can fix that over the next half hour or so. But and along the way, I was fortunate. I got a book deal, and I wrote a book on screenwriting, which came out, and I'm also still writing. I just finished writing one movie, and I just found out that a movie that I had written a while ago it got optioned yesterday.
Oh.
And producers are interested in me maybe directing it.
No way.
Really?
Come
wow.
spring. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. And if you need some guy to rig up lights or whatever, let me know. So.
Appreciate that. We could probably use you in a variety of ways.
If you need your grass cut.
Okay. Well, every guest that we have come on the show that works in the industry, we always ask them, what was the craziest production story that comes to mind? And, obviously you don't have to give names or anything like that, but what's just something that reaches out to you that's like typical movie, just stupidity,
God, I've been a part of so much stupidity in movies. It's hard to kind of pinpoint that. I think the most unique story, really, that I can share is that, like, literally, like on my first day of working for Steven, was on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and we were in scoring session over at Columbia Pictures.
Yeah.
And a giant curtain swung open in front of me, and we were sitting in this editing suite. And on the other side of the curtain was glass, and on the other side of the glass was John Williams directing a 90-person orchestra.
Wow.
To compose all
the theme and all that
music for like the final sequence of ND3. And if that wasn't surreal enough, while I'm sitting there on the couch making sure that Steven has, the proper bagels and cream cheese and donut assortment, in walks some other, nerdy looking dude in sneakers, and it was George Lucas. And
wow.
So I was sitting on the couch at 21 years old, about a year out of film school, between Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. And I asked them if they wanted some ice cream, because there was an ice cream place, a little shop on the lot at Columbia. And Steven said, yeah. And of course, Steven wanted vanilla.
Okay.
And I asked George if he wanted something. And he said, I'll come with you. So,
really?
Like my first day on the job, I went out for ice cream with George Lucas, walking across the lot.
Did you ask
George
him questions?
Got strawberry. I got chocolate.
Yeah.
And Steven got vanilla.
Wow.
I didn't ask him. You know what? I didn't want to be
one of those guys.
I didn't want to appear any more stupid than I probably already did. So
yeah. Now,
what I'm going to talk about R2D2. I had nothing.
Oh yeah.
It was incredibly inarticulate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't be able to say anything. I probably wouldn't be able to formulate the words for ice cream.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that clamor just to have time one-on-one just to talk to him.
Yeah.
So
I'd have been like nervous about what ice cream do I order in front of him. Is he going to judge me?
I'm pretty sure he said vanilla. But
I just tried not to screw up the order. And the funny thing is that once we got it, George stiffed me with the bill, and I had to pay.
All that money he made you pay.
So
he could have just bought the ice cream store right there.
Yeah, right.
He could have, yeah. He could have. George can buy whatever he wants.
That's awesome. Sure. You got ice cream with George Lucas. There's very few people that could say that. I feel famous just by knowing a guy that's done something like that. So, okay. So we asked you to come speak on the show because we are doing a top 10 Academy Award adapted screenplay list, and
okay.
You are the subject matter expert in screenplays. You've written them. And you have movies produced by your screenplays. So let me ask you this. What makes a good adapted screenplay as far as people like fans in the Academy and everything? What constitutes a good adapted screenplay?
Sure. I've actually adapted quite a few screenplays from books, from biographies and autobiographies, and worked with some incredible novelists.
Yeah, and feel free to name drop your work.
No, that's not really my style, but
okay.
I will say that they're all different, and they all have their own inherent challenges. A lot of times, if you're adapting an autobiography and working with the actual author whose life it was about is so close to all the things that happened to them that they have a difficult time separating themselves from the book, and certainly the book from the screenplay. And as you know, many novels are run 350 pages, and a screenplay is 120 pages, soaking wet, double spaced. So there's a lot of choices that need to be made.
Yeah,
and I think those that are good at adapting screenplays are able to recognize the strengths of story and the powerful tenets that'll help create really a great movie experience for the audience. I think those people who go to the movies and are disappointed by what they see, having read the book, it's because sometimes the choices that the screenwriter, the adapter made were not as strong as they could have been, or sometimes it's just because there was too much in the book, and it's difficult to try and condense
trim
into 2 hours.
So would you say that finessing the story, maybe changing some minor plot points here and there to still give off the general feel, the general consensus of the story at the end is necessary, and that could be an attribute to making a good screenplay from an adapted story? Or do you say as much accuracy as possible? You know, like.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I just taught a screenwriting class on adaptation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was short adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I tried to impart on my students was, look, you have a responsibility to deliver an engaging, 3-act story that works as a film.
Right.
And you have to make a lot of difficult choices. So a lot of times it's departing from what was relayed in the book, and sometimes it's not usually departing from the essence of what was in the book or the essence of what happened, but it's usually just cutting and consolidating to find the right tent poles to kind of hang the story on.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah. Okay. So more or less just finding those good points and then building off of them as best as possible.
Right.
While trying to keep it.
We don't.
Go ahead.
You're right. I'm sorry. Trying to keep it true to what actually happened. You're not creating other things, essentially. Right. You are just consolidating from what actually took place and taking the highlights.
Would you say it's pretty consistently a nightmare to work with people that are living, and consultants, for their biopics or stuff like that? Or, from what I've understood, some people can be kind of hard to work with.
It can be difficult sometimes, depending on how connected they are to it.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with one gentleman who was special forces during Vietnam, and he led the largest raid in the history of the war.
Wow.
To rescue hundreds, literally, of villagers from the Viet Cong, and I was trying to take his 350-page book and turn it into a really compelling, memorable, strong, true story.
Right.
But if I talked about there being a bullet that was different, or a gun that was different, or a person that was different from what actually happened, he still has his military spine to him, and so he would not let me deviate at all from that. The one thing, this is an example of how you can take a little bit of creative liberty, is he was a young man when he went to war, and he had no love interest at home, and there was really no reason for him to come back, at least from the audience standpoint.
Wow.
There was no one waiting for him. He didn't have a close relationship with his family, and so I was like, we got to create some kind of emotional spine, otherwise it's going to be like you just running around in the woods, firing at people. And why are we rooting for your character to make it back? And so what he shared with me was there was a reporter that he met while he was there that he had a crush on, and I think there was one Vietnamese waitress that he met, and there's a couple other women along his way. Not to say he was whoring himself out, but along the way he was a very
subplot
he's
going
quite
on
the
there.
gentleman.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what we did was we took the best of the moments he had with these different women, and there really was only 3, but we made it all one of the women. It was the reporter. Yeah,
the combined character.
That way, so that way, there was a moment for them to connect, and in the first act, build a relationship in the second act, and ultimately, a reward for him making it out alive.
Yeah,
see her again in the third act.
Military guys are notorious, and I can speak on their behalf because I'm in the military, but they're notoriously difficult about, sticking to the facts. No, it's got to be this way. I know Clint Eastwood went through a lot of hell when he adapted American Sniper and stuff like that. So I could only imagine, and, good luck with that. I hope it works out. I'd love to see it. So,
Well, you won't be surprised. I mean, we wrote a great screenplay based on his book and had it set up with producers, but in, I guess, typical military fashion, and you can comment on this, Hayden.
I can.
He was not pleased with the speed at which the project was moving along. He wanted to go much quicker. And so he pulled it away from everybody and said, no one can have it.
Wow.
And it was too bad because there was a great director, a great DP, great producers, financing. He had me as the writer. He had posters made, and I mean, he was putting together a cast. We were putting together a cast, and he was like, he was very.
Did he have any experience?
Stringent about it.
Do you have any experience in film up to that point?
No, he had a book and a dream.
Well, I mean, then he's a dummy. I'm sorry. You know, you got to do what you got to do to make the movie. And if you can't roll with the punches and everything's not going your way and you just back out that minute, I'm sorry.
Right.
Well,
and he wrote a great book, and he's actually a great man and a great soldier, but he was just very opinionated about this particular project, which is unfortunate because I think it had, it still does have the potential to go forward.
They all are. All the good soldiers are very opinionated. So,
maybe that's what makes them good soldiers, right?
Yeah, maybe. Well, okay. Last question. Favorite adapted screenplay? Do you have one?
You know,
we'll see if it's on the list.
I guess I don't. Is the quick answer. I think when I think of all my favorite. If you ask me my favorite screenplay, my favorite movie, you know, those answers come along very quickly.
Okay.
I think when it comes to adaptation, maybe Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah, it is on the list.
Just because it was a huge book, and it was adapted into a beautiful screenplay that won Academy Award for Best Adaptation that year, and just the delicacy and nuance, and strength and tension and power that, you know, Ted Talley and gang were able to craft around, you know, Hannibal and Carice is just unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Right.
And frankly, it's unlike anything we've seen since.
Yeah, I think that out of all the Hannibal franchise, that's definitely a standalone. There's nothing that compares to it, you know. And so you've read the book too. You'd say like the screenplay does a good job of just promoting the book while not exactly taking every little baseline from it.
I've looked at chunks of the book.
Oh, okay.
I have not read the whole
girthy book. Yeah.
It is a girthy book, and so anyway, that to me stood out as like one of the great scripts that works, you know, in the movie theater and beyond.
Yeah. It is one of my favorite movies, and you know, you can't be working law enforcement without watching Silence of the Lambs. I'm sorry. So,
right.
So,
right.
Well, Professor Lucker, aka Michael Lucker, thanks so much for the phone call and the insight. I'll reach out with you after this and get some more information. We can talk about what exactly you want to share from you to the audience. So.
Happy to. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Is there any one last platform you want to say? Any promotions or festivals or anything like that coming up that you want to talk about before you go?
Well, I'll just share that if anyone's interested in learning how to write a screenplay, I do teach workshops outside the university system. It's called Screenwriter School, and they can go to screenwriterschool.com, or they can follow us at Screenwriter School on Facebook.
Okay.
And learn more. And now, because of our current situation, the workshops that have been held in classrooms are now being taught online as well. So people have an opportunity to learn what they like from anywhere in the world. Gotcha.
We'll be sure to link all of those sites that you just gave us. And thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. We'll hang out again soon.
Hope so. Take care, Hayden.
All right. You too. Bye.